Imagine a routine transatlantic journey that ends in tragedy. What hidden factors may have caused a modern airplane to lose control? What went wrong in the cockpit? But would you trust us if we said a B? How did this little creature play into the crash? Join us as we explore the hidden story of Bergen Air Flight 301. On February 6 of 1996, Bergen Air Flight 301 crashed, becoming one of the deadliest occurrences involving a Boeing 757. Due to inaccurate airspeed indications, the captain and first officer lost control of the plane. Bergen Air was a Turkish charter airline that began operations in 1988. The airliner involved in the disaster was a Boeing 757-255 built in 1985 with 29,269 service hours and 13,499 cycles. It had not flown in 20 days before the incident, and the pilot tubes had been left uncovered during that time. The crash of Bergen Air Flight 301 killed 189 persons, including 176 passengers and 13 crew members. There were 167 German nationals and 9 Polish nationals among the passengers. The crew of 13 comprised 11 Turkish nationals and 2 Dominicans. But what actually happened that day? On the day of the disaster, shortly after takeoff, the captain informed the first officer that his airspeed indicator had failed. However, the first officer observed that his airspeed indicator was functioning normally. The captain instructed the first officer to only call out the airspeeds displayed on the latter indicator. Despite the indicated difficulties and in violation of established rules, the captain proceeded with the takeoff and engaged the autopilot lateral navigation mode. Soon later, the captain informed the first officer that his airspeed indicator was back in service. The crew activated the autopilot vertical navigation mode and continued with the takeoff. The autopilot in the center was then activated. The erroneous airspeed indications were caused by a blockage in one of the aircraft's 3 pilot tubes, which the pilots were unaware of at the time. Despite the first incorrect readings, the airspeed indicators began to operate as the aircraft rose due to the expansion of thin air within the pilot tubes, causing pressure to build up. The malfunctioning airspeed indicators made it hard for the pilots to discern whether the plane was traveling at the proper speed as the flight continued. Their simultaneous appearance showed that there was a difference between the captain's and first officer's airspeed indicator readings, which showed 327 knots and dropping respectively. The autopilot system lowered the plane's speed and tilted its nose upwards due to overstated airspeed indicator readings. The pilots lowered the thrust after disengaging the autopilot. At this moment, the aircraft began to stall, and the pilots sought to counteract by increasing thrust. However, their attempts were unsuccessful because the plane's left engine had failed, and only the right engine was operational at the time. The pilots' efforts to keep the jet from stalling finally failed, and the plane crashed into the Caribbean Sea just off the coast of the DR 5 minutes into the trip. The wrecked plane sunk to a depth of 7,200 feet. The cockpit voice recorder and flight data recorder of the plane were retrieved by the U.S. Navy on February 28 of 1996 and were analyzed by the U.S. National Transportation Safety Board. The CVR data revealed that the pilots had problems with their airspeed indications and fought to recover control of the aircraft when it stalled. But there was something many were not expecting. Mud dauber wasps were suspected to be the cause of the crash. Toxicology testing revealed that none of the passengers had ingested flammable vapors or carbon monoxide, and there was no sign of fire in the wreckage or retrieved bodies, ruling out a pre-impact fire or explosion. The weather conditions and forecasts of the area at the time were favorable. Hence, weather-related impacts were assumed not to have played a part in the Bergen Air Flight 301 disaster, although the debris, including the pilot tubes, was not retrieved. Investigators determined that the accident was caused by nesting mud dauber wasps within one of the exposed pilot tubes. The presence of wasps, which are a well-known threat to aviation safety in the Dominican Republic, and the failure to remove them during ground checks meant that the tubes were unable to feed the captain's speed indicator, resulting in its malfunction and the crash. As our investigation into the tragic tale of Bergen Air Flight 301 comes to a close, we are reminded of how much unexpected things can affect the safety of aviation. If you found this video interesting and eye-opening, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more intriguing videos.